Okay, so in this one, we're going to look at activity 3. We're just going to look at part A, which is the easier of the two queries. And in this paper, it is a little bit more difficult than normal. They do want quite a few more tables than they normally ask for, but it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to walk you through it step by step. But essentially, we're creating a query to display an alphabetically sorted, so there's our sort, list of suppliers, so we need the suppliers in there, of plastic champagne flutes, so we need those, and those that contain less than 1,000 in a pack. The suppliers must allow at least 25 days to pay. The query must display only the supplier name, product description, pack size, and days to pay. So there's quite a lot in those couple of sentences. We're just going to go through it step by step and work through it. Okay, so the first thing is we're going to go to our database. We're going to create our query in Design View, and we're going to add in the tables that we need. Now we need the product because we're looking at champagne flutes. We need the supplier and product because that contains the pack size. And we need the supplier table because that contains the days to pay. There's nothing else that we need. So that's what you need to be looking for, is what fields do I need and which table are they in? You want to try and keep that to the minimum number of tables as possible. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add in our supplier name because we need that. That's the thing we're looking for, really. We need the product description because that's where we will enter in the actual product we're looking for. And that's the tricky part here. That's where you could end up with a mistake. Then we're looking for the pack size. And then we're looking for the days to pay. So that's all the things that come up in the question. So I've added those to the bottom now. The supplier name, if we just double check the question again, says it's got to be alphabetically sorted. So let's jump back here. Let's sort that alphabetically with the sort box here. We just change that to ascending, and that will go alphabetically by supplier name. The next thing is the product that we're looking for, which is plastic champagne glasses. Now, the problem with this is spelling champagne. That's the most common error with this. And it has to appear exactly as it appears in the table. So there's no room for error here if you want it to work. So take your time, make sure you spell the word correctly. And that's exactly as the data appears in the database. So far, we're halfway to full marks on this already. That would be a very good search already. If we just double check the question for what's next. So the next thing is less than 1,000 in a pack. So we've got to use our operator symbols here. So the pack size is there, and we want to go less than, so the arrow points left, less than 1,000. Let's check the final part because we're almost there. And they must allow at least 25 days to pay. So this is a common thing they do. They want you to use two symbols, two operators. So if you said more than, if you said more than 25, then that wouldn't include the number 25. So you would lose out on some marks there, quite easy marks. The actual solution is more than or equal to, not in between the 2 and 5, more than or equal to 25. So you've got to use both operators, and they quite often ask for this. I've got no data in my database, but if I run that, I would get the right answer. That would show all the data that I would need. The other thing to finally check is the items that are displayed properly. The query must display only the supplier name, product description, pack size, and days to pay. So they want 4 things. I've only got 4 things in my query. All 4 are there. Sometimes they might ask you to do one where you've got to not show the field. So if that's the case, you just untick using that little tick box there in line with the word show in the QBE. And that's it. The biggest issue is trying to spell champagne because it's quite easy to misspell. Okay, we'll look at 3B next.